Come on, Charlie. Come on, Charlie. Be clutch. Be clutch. Be clutch. Oh.
That's how it always fucking goes. That's literally how it always goes in my games.
Oh,
Wow.
man. He should have won that game.
5-14. Holy shit, I must have really sucked dick when I played this in college. There it is. How's it going, man?
Hey. How you doing, Charlie?
I'm good, man. I'm excited. I just got my ass pounded out here, timed out in my first warm-up game, so I'm feeling pretty confident.
Yeah, I saw that game. You were in trouble, but then you turned it around. You had that extra queen, but you're a little bit too slow.
Yeah, that's how it always goes, man. I think too hard. My brain is too big to process things in a timely fashion.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, when you're relatively new to the game, when you're trying to play like really quick, like 3 minutes or like even up to 5 minutes, it's very hard to come up with the moves because it's not natural in the same kind of way. Like for me, I've played so many games, so it's just like I can just see the patterns really quickly. But yeah, you still got that winning position. You do know how to checkmate, right, with the king and queen or the queen and the knight there?
Probably not. I imagine even if I had all the time in the world, the best I would have got was a draw out of this.
Okay. So, all right. So I guess do you want to start with like the hand and brain? So I guess the way we do this, you're in live chess, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So just in that bottom box where you can type a message.
Where it says chat disabled.
Oh, do you have the game window open? Close the game window. Click the X in that light with the lightning bolt where it says game. Click the X there. Up at the right hand side, you see the lightning bolt where it says game.
Oh yeah.
Gameplay tournaments.
Gotcha.
Right, and so now you should see the where it says message should say message. If you stay on that right hand side, you see where it says welcome to live chess, and there's all the chat stuff listed.
Mm-hmm. And then there's Mia Khalifa in third place for the day or whatever. Yeah, I guess.
Right, with the challenge. Yeah, okay. So at the bottom where it says message, just type slash. Type slash follow. And then space, and then type Hikaru, Hikaru. Yeah, so type slash follow and then a space and then Hikaru, Hikaru. And enter.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. All right. So yeah, so I think we'll start with like hand and brain. So the way hand and brain normally works is like I make the moves, but you select the piece. So instead of like telling me what the move is, you would say like move the knight or move the bishop or move the queen or move a pawn. And there are many different possibilities that I can choose from.
Okay, sounds good to me.
So what is your background with chess to start with? Because of course most of the chat knows about the video on YouTube. But did you play chess when you were younger? What's your background?
Yes. So my grandpa taught me chess, and I had like a little glass fish chessboard that we used to play on like all the time. Like every time my grandparents would come over, he'd challenge me to chess. And my grandpa, he had like no time limit, so it'd be like 2 hours for a single game. So it was always just like a lot of intense processing. And then I played it in high school. This is when I made the Turbo Fisto account here. And then I played in college in my first year and a half during my classes because it just wasn't very like stimulating. So I'd play chess, but have to like leave often. And that's pretty much my whole background, just off and on playing.
Wow, that's great. All right, so I just started a game. So okay, so we're gonna play a little bit of slower game so we can talk a little bit as well. It's not just super fast paced and intense. So do you see the move?
Yep.
Okay, so now you just tell me which piece to move.
All right, we'll hit him with that Latvian gambit. Let's do the e5 on e5.
So you're supposed to say pawn, by the way, but that's fine.
Oh, sorry.
And also, just to be clear, the Latvian gambit, you can only do it when white pushes the pawn in front of his king. When he pushes the pawn to the left here, this is actually a real opening, but it's the Latvian opening only applies when white pushes the pawn in front of the king.
I see. All right, let's hit pawn f6.
Just say pawn.
All right, pawn.
Okay, I'll play it. Actually, in general, when you're playing chess, you don't really want to weaken the pawns to your left of your king. Normally, you want to develop and get your king out of the center. So, like when you push too many pawns around your king, it tends to create weaknesses. Normally, you want to develop the pieces and get your king out of the middle part of the board.
Okay. So what would be an opening you'd recommend then from
So
this side?
Right, so the first move is very good because you try to play for the center part of the board with your pawn. So you really want to take space in the center. But on move 2, what I would have played is brought one of my knights out to either the dark square f6 or the light square c6. Bringing the knights out early is generally a very good strategy. Like, you push a pawn, bring the knights, and then you put the bishops on the diagonals if you can.
Okay, so mainly to create pressure in the middle of the board. Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, you want to take the space in the middle of the board and get your king out of the center of the board. Those are the two basic concepts that you want to really sort of remember and try to do every game.
Okay, then yeah, let's move one of those knights. Then let's
Okay, sure.
the
Knight. Yeah, just say knight. Just say knight, and I'll move the knight.
Okay, that works.
Okay. So you made this video. Did you like do a lot of background research? Were you watching like my stream or other chess streams, or how did that all come about?
I watch your streams quite a bit, and then I saw in your chat one time they were posting like Benjamin Feingold shit-talking clips. Then I went down this rabbit hole of gatekeeping, and it was just a wild experience. Something I've never really seen before from like a game community.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
Is that something you see a lot when you go to like these in-person tournaments? Is there a lot of like aggression or anything like that, or is it all pretty sportsmanlike?
I mean, I think the events that actually, can you tell me a piece to move first?
Yeah, pawn.
Pawn. Okay. All right. So yeah, I think it depends where you're at. The tournaments that I'm competing at it's very high level players, so we've all been playing the game for most of our life. So certainly it's a little bit different because everyone has a very big respect for each other, because when you've been playing the game for 15 or 20 years, like, you know everybody, you know the hard work that's involved. But I think certainly like when you're starting out, or when you're playing the kids tournaments, even it's not traditional elitism, because kids, of course, they're very young, they're like 7, 8, they don't know any better. It's just like, I'm better than you. Like, it's just very, very much in good, it's like in a good spirit. But I think certainly you do see it at some of the open tournaments where you have different sections. You have players who can range from total beginners to people up to grandmaster, and in those middle sections you also see it. It's not as severe, but you do see it. And I think that's because chess is a very individual game. So it's like when you win, it's like you pat yourself on the back, you're the greatest person in the world. But when you lose, of course, it goes the other way. And I think for that reason, it's just one of those things in chess. It's kind of weird to see, but I guess, I mean, it must be because it's individual.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Let's do knight.
Okay.
So I was also keeping up with all of the drama. I saw Ben Feingold blocked you. How'd that come about?
I honestly have no idea how that came about. Someone in my chat posted a link. I went to look at it. I've literally never talked to him on Twitter at all. Like, no interaction, no like @ messages, no DMs. I don't even follow him. So yeah, it's kind of weird, but I really don't know. I don't know why he did it.
I don't know either, man. We'll do bishop here.
Sure. So do you know what this is called when you move the bishop here behind this pawn?
No, I don't.
It's called a fianchetto. So actually, the white player's done the same thing. When you put the bishop on a super long diagonal like this, it's called fianchettoing the bishop.
Okay, because I was going to do exactly what he did there with just castling. Right.
So actually, this is very, very much a model sort of opening setup. So you develop the bishop, you get the king out of the middle of the board, and now you want to try to play in the center part of the board if you can.
Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah, I mean, I think in general with the whole thing, it's very kind of surprising, because for me, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Agadmator. He does YouTube videos on chess. He's got a lot of followers, very, very popular, does general analysis. But he's not a super strong chess player. So there are a lot of people who have said things about him over time that, like, why is he doing this analysis? He's not a top level chess player. He shouldn't be doing this. And so to me, it was very surprising, because obviously I'm very opposed to that. I mean, anyone can do what they want to do. And if there are people who enjoy it, then of course they're doing something right. And so, like, for me, like, as someone who has been very successful as a chess player, it kind of took me aback that I'm also now getting the same sort of things thrown at me as well. It just is, I wasn't really expecting it in a certain way.
Yeah, it's probably just the quarantine people locked in looking for shit to be mad about, to be honest. I do pawn here.
Sure. Yeah, maybe it's that. I mean, I think in general, I've noticed there tends to also be a lot of jealousy in the chess community, it's very unfortunate. because everyone's trying to make a living, and it feels like there are certain pockets, no matter whether it's coaching, playing, doing like social media. It just feels like there's certain pockets that are like that.
I'd take pawn.
Sure. Okay. Now let's take this way.
Speaking of jealousy, how many people in the chess community were jealous with your cameo in that show? I'm blanking on the name, but that was some beautiful acting, Hikaru.
Billions. Yeah. It's funny actually. In the chess community, it's not so much jealousy. I was in it. A lot of chess people are focusing on the fact that they messed up the scene, and like in the scene, the guy makes 2 moves in a row because the editing was done poorly. So it's not really so much jealousy for that, I don't think. But thanks for liking the acting. I've actually I've heard it mixed. Some people like it. Some people say I'm too robotic. It's been all across the board, really.
It had that old noir feel. Take rook.
With.
I'd take with queen.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. And so this queen right now that you have, it's on this open file. So when you get queens or rooks that have where the whole line is open like this, it's very good to have a queen or a rook on a line like this.
That was my thought process as well. Obviously thinking 10 steps ahead.
Okay, so let's see. And actually,
bishop?
Sure, that's fine. Yeah, so you see this bishop here. This is also a pin, like the bishop. With this knight here, if the knight ever moves from this light square, you'll take the queen. So this is like a very strong pin idea with the bishop here.
Perfect. Very good.
Right. So I was going to ask actually a question related to chess. So like when you look back on when you said you grew up, or not you grew up, but you played against your grandfather. That's how you learned the game. I'm assuming it's a very nostalgic feel, probably, because obviously, like I'm sure it was a long time ago for you. Like is that how you feel about it?
Yeah, but it was always like fun. It's not something I only play for nostalgia. Like the game was always fun. I mean, it was always just something like in the back of my head, like, well, I got nothing to do, I'll play some chess. I haven't done it in a while, but back through like high school and college. But yeah, it definitely does have that nostalgic flair to it, which is nice.
Okay.
I'd move knight.
Good. Okay, let's go. I'm trying to think of the right squares that you understand. So there's a clear idea next move. This will move the knight here. Yeah, I think that's one thing that I've really loved with chess is that a lot of the people I think who are getting back into the game, it's something they played when they were younger. So it's like one of those things they kind of forgot about, or they did it when they were younger, and it's just like that whole feel of something rediscovering it. I think is why chess has been blowing up so much on Twitch as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just finding it again has been like therapeutic for some people. So what do you think of this idea? I'd move that pawn to e4 and then go for either the knight or the rook. Yeah,
that's perfect. That's perfect. You should just say pawn, but I mean the whole idea is absolutely, yeah, it's a great idea. So what you see is there are 2 pins, right? There's a pin on the knight on the light square, but there's a pin on the knight on the dark square too, because both bishops are targeting the queen and the rook. So it's a very, very good move.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So where did you get your start, man? I'm a little foggy on the lore of Hikaru, the GM Rise. Can you give me a little background there?
Sure. So basically the way I got into chess is through my stepfather, my brother. So my brother, well, let me go back to the beginning since I said stepfather, because that kind of sounds a little bit random. But basically, I was born in Japan. Then my mom and my biological father got divorced when I was like 1 year old. My mom moved back to California with my older brother and I. And my brother actually took up chess out in the desert near LA, and he became the best player in his age category from about the time he was 6 until 10. But through becoming really good in California, he played in the National Chess Championships, which is for the best kids in the age group, so like 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and so forth. And it was through this that my mother met my stepfather, who is a chess instructor in New York City. He's been teaching at this specific school, Hunter Elementary, since I think like 1970, I don't even know, like 1975 or 78, whatever it is. But anyway, Hunter was one of the two chess schools in New York that has been known for their chess excellence. There's Hunter and there's Dalton. It's like they're both like it would be like being the New York Yankees of chess. Like all the scholastic tournaments, they tend to clean up in they tend to clean up and win all the national titles. So through that, because my brother was the best in his age category. My stepfather and my mother met through my brother competing against these same kids that my stepfather was coaching. And so because of that, they eventually got married. My mom, my brother, and I, we moved to New York, and then probably about a couple years after that is when I took up chess. I started playing it just because my brother and my stepfather were competing in tournaments nationally. They were playing tournaments like in California, New York, just everywhere around the U.S. And that's sort of how I got my start. So when I was 7 years old, I started playing the game, and I wasn't very good at first. The first I want to say half year, 6 months, 9 months, I lost most of my games. My parents actually, they stopped me from playing chess because my brother was already very talented and competing nationally. And then after this long break, they decided, okay, well, you can play some tournaments. It'll be fun. Get back into the game. And that's from there, I just started improving really quickly.
Nice, man. So that's like a full history. So I do pawn.
Sure. Okay.
It's definitely a lot more extensive than my fucking history with chess.
Right, but the thing that I would add to that is that so my stepfather teaches chess professionally in a lot of schools in the greater New York area, and his start actually, like, the thing that really motivates him is that he learned from his grandfather. So many times when I've spoken to him about whether it's streaming or just teaching chess in general, he always says how it was his grandfather who like inspired him to play chess in the first place as well. So there's always like that sort of special story that I think everybody has in relation to chess.
I get you. So when I said pawn right there, was that like a bad move? Because would it have been better to use bishop on the knight and then take his other knight as well?
If you had taken the light square knight, you would have actually won the knight on c3 or the rook down the whole diagonal. So that would have been a better choice. But we're still doing fine here.
Okay, then I'd do knight here.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, I've spent my whole life in chess, so I guess in some ways, like the stuff that's been going on, I've seen it to varying degrees throughout my life. But I think really for me, there's a big opportunity I think right now to sort of try and push chess in the right direction, especially with all the people who are getting into the game, where you can sort of try to move the needle and first of all make it more popular, but also try to get rid of some of these attitudes and increase the viewership, increase sponsorship, just do things that are going to be beneficial for chess down the road long term.
Yeah, I think that's great. I still can't believe that there are people that even had an issue with it, man. That shit was baffling to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's unique to chess, but I think things are changing though. I think it's great to see the fact that, or actually, let's come up with a move first here.
I do knight again.
Okay. Okay.
So the idea, so what I was thinking is I'd take, if it was me playing, I'd take pawn on e3, so then either go for the queen or the bishop. Would that have been a bad move or?
That actually, like, the logic behind the move is good. The only problem with that move is that the bishop guards the pawn. The darts for a bishop would have captured the knight.
I get you. Okay.
So that's the reason it wasn't that's why it would have been a bad move. But yeah, fundamentally the idea is good.
Okay, I get you. I just wasn't thinking on the defensive side then. Okay.
Yeah, but still, it's pretty good. It's a good position here. Okay, so now we lost the pawn, so have to be a little bit careful.
Rook.
Okay. So since I'm not super familiar, or actually let's come up with a move first.
Knight.
Okay, yeah, this could be a problem, but we'll keep going.
Yeah, I've kind of backed us into a corner here.
Yeah, actually, I shouldn't have put the knight on the edge because there was always some risk of the knight getting trapped without correct play.
No. This is my burden to bear. I fucked us here. I'd go bishop.
Okay. Yeah, this is kind of dangerous still, but we do have an idea with if this knight ever moves from the light square of capturing this rook down on b1 here. So normally, like you'll see in this game, like what we've done has was pretty good at the start. Oh, this guy is just killing us now.
He's really going in. Yeah, pawn.
Yeah, you see, the problem is the queen is in check. This is the problem. So this is actually the only move I can play. Yeah, because you want to just capture the pawn, right?
Yeah, I didn't even see that. Goodness me.
Yeah,
He's
so
an animal. Bishop.
Okay. So actually, since I'm not super familiar with your channel, what sort of videos do you do? Like, is your focus on games or? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it goes so games. Sometimes I'll review movies and shit. I do a lot of things with fleshlights and like sex toys. Not like actually, like fucking them or anything, but like using them for like trick shots and shit like that.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so it's just like a wide variety of like different things all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's cool. Okay, guess we got to come up with a move here.
Yeah. So I do queen.
Okay. Sorry, my chat's going a little bit insane here, so I'm trying not to laugh. They're going insane at me. So then do you play a lot of games, or
I definitely do a lot of games, but I like to do a lot of different things. So I feel like for a lot of people that make stuff on the internet, they get burnt out just doing the same shit. Like you'll have 40,000 Let's Plays videos on like Happy Wheels or something, and that's only fun for so long.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So I've always liked to like constantly mix up the kind of content that I do.
Okay, so what should we play here?
Yeah, pawn.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of feel similar. Like right now I can do chess every day and I've got a lot of competitions going on, but certainly there are going to be days when I want to just take a break from it and do some variety. So I totally feel you, man.
Is that something you've been thinking about? Like playing, I know you mentioned Overwatch before. Are you thinking about playing some like other games and rising the ranks there?
Yeah, so it's well, I guess let's come up with a move first.
Rook.
Okay, sure. Let's go here. Yeah, so I think it's one thing that's very weird, and this might be specific. Actually, let's come up with a move.
Rook again.
Okay, so that's one thing that's very weird, actually, and this might be just a perception, something specific. We're gonna lose the game, so I'll just talk for a minute or two.
Yeah, I think we're fucked.
Yeah, totally. So one thing that's weird with chess, I think, is that for some reason there's this perception that if you're good at chess, you're a genius. Like you're just good at everything you do. And I don't know why that is. Like I feel like with a lot of other games, that's not actually the case. Like, XUC, great Overwatch player, but I don't think there's this expectation that he's going to be like the greatest player in the world at other games. But for some reason with chess, there's this attitude that if you're good at chess, you're going to be great at every single game that you play. So it's kind of a very strange. It's very strange because I have done some things like Valorant, and it's like everyone's like, oh, like you're, the crosshair, it's like so bad, you're so bad at this game. It's like I feel like there's this general sense of it's like people can't believe that I'm not great at every game that I do, and so that's one thing that kind of I've been very careful in what sort of games I play, because from time to time like it gets when your chat is just like really annoyed at you for not being great at a game. It's
the
just like
backseat gamers.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, right, but I feel like especially it's like it's just this there's actual shock that I'm not great. It's like for some reason I don't know why, but chess does have this mystique that if you're very good at it, you should you should be a 5-head at everything you do.
Yeah, it's just that mysticism around the game itself, like throughout time. Like chess has always had like that huge prestige, like even in anime. So like the fucking weebs will be in chat like, why the fuck isn't he good at everything? I saw Lelouch in Code Geass be the best in the world. He took over the world because he was good at chess. So then people just have that like crazy expectation. Right. I guess for a move here, just rook.
Sure. Yeah, that's actually, that's a very good point. So that's why I've thought about it, but sometimes like, especially if the learning curve is really hard, and then sometimes I'll get around to stuff, but it's one of those things where I want to at least play a game a little bit before just going in cold.
Yeah. Knight.
Sure. The other thing also is that I come from a very traditional like board games I guess, and card games sort of background. So also like the whole FPS genre, to me it's just a lot different because I didn't grow up playing shooting games. So for example, there was a period when I was sort of semi-professionally playing poker. And I also really love the game backgammon as well. So because I come from that sort of background, it's a big shift going into some of these other sorts of games.
Yeah, those are good choices too. Rook.
Okay. But again, they're so different that it's like one of those things where, oh, ouch, that's nasty.
Just rook.
Actually, we can't move the rook because what happened here is white moved the bishop. This is a discovery, so we can't move the rook here because the king is actually under attack.
I see that, yeah.
So the point is the bishop attacks the king, but then we're going to lose the rook on the next move because we have to move the king. And so it's, you move a piece to discover an attack on one of the other pieces.
Damn, man. All right, yeah, king.
Yeah, maybe let's just resign this one.
Yeah, I think I lost you quite a few points on that one, man. I'm sorry about that.
It's unrated, so no worries. That's completely fine. Okay. Actually, let's take a quick look at this game though. Let me invite you to the board 1 second. Or actually, no. I guess let's just play this game first. Okay. So pick a piece.
It's yeah, pawn.
Pawn. Okay. Which one do you play? Do you push the pawn from the king or the queen?
I push from king.
Good. Yeah. So actually, for the first 2 or 3 moves, you can tell me the move you want to play, just so we get the sort of position that you want.
Okay, cool. So I don't remember it perfectly, but I guess you can tell me if I'm wrong. Is it pawn e5, then you do pawn e4, and then pawn d4, and then knight? Is that the typical progression?
So typically that would be correct, but normally when you do that, that's when black mirrors you and pushes the pawn in front of the king. When black pushes the pawn in front of this bishop on the queen side, this is a different opening. You still try to play in the center, but you don't push the pawn first. Normally you would move a knight out because this is the Sicilian defense.
Okay, then yeah, we'll do knight.
Okay. So if you weren't doing Twitch and YouTube, like being a content creator, what would you do?
Oh, I think about that a lot, man. I don't know how desperate I'd be. I guess it depends. Like, if I was really desperate, I wouldn't be above, sexual favors for money. So it's more just a matter of, like, what state would I be in if I didn't have those things? Like, where would the world be? And where would Charlie be in that world? Okay, but it is something I've thought about.
All right.
Pawn. Knight.
Okay, good. So at the start of the game of chess, there are many different opening strategies. So this is actually an opening that's been played many times. So do you see what black is threatening here?
I think so. He's gonna go for pawn, yeah. Right.
So is there maybe a piece that can protect the pawn?
Either a pawn or the bishop, right?
Sure. So which one do you want me to move?
Let's go bishop. Let's get wild.
Good. That's actually a good move. Just get the bishop, and then you're just developing these pieces in the central part of the board. Okay, let's move this. Well, you pick the piece.
Knight.
Okay. Very quickly, you guys. Thanks to Alexander Botes for the raid. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Pawn.
Okay, let's push this one.
Queen.
Okay. So now, normally when you play in the opening stage of the game, you want to get your pieces out. So one thing that I would say is normally you want to try and get your bishops and your knights off of their original squares and your king out of the center of the board in the first 12 moves if you can do it. So you can move the queen here, but normally you want to get your knights and your bishops and your king out of the center to start with.
Okay. Okay, so then, all right, I get you. So
It's
then,
fine.
yeah.
No, it's fine. I'll play it anyway.
Okay. So which order would you recommend first then? Bishops over knights or knights over bishops?
Normally when you push the pawns in the center, you push the pawns first, and then you develop the knights, and then you follow with the bishops mostly.
Okay,
So,
cool.
so like even this game that we're playing right now, we got the knight out first, and then we got the bishop out after it. So normally you want to get the knights out and then the bishops to follow.
So how do you feel about trading pieces early? Like if he's gonna take the knight with the bishop, is that something you let happen for better positioning?
Normally it's fine. The only problem with, in this case, if you let the exchange happen, is you end up with two pawns in front of each other. You end up with pawns in this F2 and this F3 square. And normally when you have the pawns like this, where you have double pawns, one in front of the other, that's not a good pawn formation to have. So usually it's reasonable to exchange pieces, but not when you mess up where your pawns are.
Okay, so then in a case like this, it's better to just get the knight out.
If you put it on the right square, yes.
Okay, yeah, let's do knight.
Okay, so this is the move I'm going to play, because now I can capture with the knight back. I don't have to capture with the pawn, so I keep the pawns on very, very good squares here. So do you think you'll play more chess since you've been watching all the streams, or have you been playing chess?
I'm definitely going to play more. I mean, I believe I'm in the upcoming tournament. I've got to get ready to take
Oh,
home
that's
that
right.
fat
Oh, I
in
forgot.
there.
Yeah. Sorry, I completely forgot that you're in it. Sorry. My mistake.
No.
Yeah, I would have brought that up. I completely forgot. Sorry.
It's
Of course.
very forgettable, but I might just surprise the world. Don't worry.
No, it's not forgettable at all. Sorry. I completely forgot. Sorry about that. Yeah. So of course you're gonna be playing chess. What am I thinking? Obviously.
I'm taking mental notes here, man. All of this is going to be coming into play on, I think it's the 17th. When is it?
It's around then. I think like I don't really want to talk about the format too much on stream, but yeah, I think it's like you play a couple of games, you play like 2 or 3 games, and there's a bracket breakdown. So it's structured for flexibility for the streamers. They don't have to literally play every single day.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, I'll probably get all that practice in. I'll be like that fucking sweaty montage guy.
The reasoning is not that bad. You definitely need some work in the opening phase, but like what you're seeing, like the general ideas, like even the last game where you wanted to move the knight and capture the pawn or use the bishops, was very good. So certain parts of it it's just a matter of getting most of it as complete as you can in the period leading up to that.
Well, I appreciate that. So then I'd castle here.
Very good. On the bright side, I think there are a couple of people who are just not learning the rules completely. Some people who are newer to the game than you are. So it's going to be an interesting mix across the various range of streamers and what their ratings are. So it
should be fun for sure. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I think it's really great to have something like this where it's like it's for the community. It's one of those things that really the community came up with. It started with XQC and really just all the streamers who are playing chess right now. It's amazing to see.
So how do you feel about pawn threatening bishop to get off that square?
It's a very good move. Yeah, normally when you have your king out of the center of the board, you very oftentimes want to push the pawn. You want to push the pawn to the right of your king up one square, as long as there's a pawn supporting it, because it creates a space for your king to move up. So do you know what a back rank checkmate is?
Yeah, isn't that where you get locked in between the 3 pawns and you just need a queen or a rook to get down there?
Exactly, yeah. So by pushing this pawn right now, it's not really a threat, but what it does is it gives you space for your king down the road much later on, where your king is not going to get stuck.
Okay, perfect. I'd go knight.
Okay. Okay, let's go here. So is there any drama going on, like in video games or anything else? I mean, I know chess has been dominating a lot of the forums lately with the drama, but any other things going on right now?
There There's always drama, my friend, and I like to stay well up to date. I'm like the Jessica Jones of like shitty internet drama. There's YouTubers going after it, Keemstar, H3H3 versus like not only themselves but then the platforms taking sides. It's like a weird civil war going on. It's wild. Yeah, it's a wild world online. Shit is wacky. I'd go Queen.
Sure.
And I actually believe there's even a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh drama. I was in the Yu-Gi-Oh subreddit for Duel Links the other day, studying some strats, and I was reading about people being upset about like the recent card bans and shit, and then people got into it. But that's just Reddit. I feel like on Reddit, everyone's always. I'd go Queen.
Yeah, this is true. That's kind of random. Okay. Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess on Reddit there's drama everywhere. That's what people feed off of.
It's weird, man. I think that whole platform is just like designed to reward the angriest people. That shit just gets super wild about like the most trivial matters, which is it's fun to watch from the outside, but being involved in it's probably pretty frustrating.
Right. Yeah, that's. Yeah, I mean, sorry, what's that?
Are you pretty active on Reddit? Like, do you?
I've ventured onto LSF a couple times the past couple of days just because of all the chess stuff. I don't generally go onto Reddit that often, but I've seen some of the stuff lately, and it's just like I look briefly and then I just try to close it as fast as I can because it's especially when it's stuff that involves you, it's very hard to actually read some of it.
Yeah, and some of it gets under your skin. I'd go Knight.
Mm-hmm.
I just got you might have to finish this one without me. I
did you just get disconnected?
Inactivity. Yeah.
That's that. So actually, just click on play and click on live chess again. Okay, so you should be back. You should see the game. Just wait 1 second, or not. You don't. Okay, so again, go to that bottom and type that command again. So /follow.
So I'm back in. So to avoid that, do I just
Yeah. So actually, I think if you're I think you haven't actually like clicked in the window for the last like 25 minutes or something. So probably because of that's why. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Queen.
Okay. But yeah, after this we'll play a couple of quick blitz games as well. So you won't be inactive. You'll stay logged in. Have you actually have you like is chess.com the site you've used mainly? Do you use other chess sites or when you've been looking at chess recently?
When I was younger, I did Spark Chess, but that was only because Miniclip kept recommending it. So I used to do like Spark Chess games.
I actually don't even know what that is.
At least I think it's called Spark Chess. You used to have like little avatars that looked like Roblox characters or something. And then when I got to high school, I just went to chess.com and that's when I made this account.
Oh, so it's some kind of okay.
It's like really casual shit. I imagine like the oldest person on Spark Chess is like 14 years old. It wasn't like any hardcore stuff.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I mean, I'm unfamiliar with it, but yeah. No, I was asking because like there are also other things you can do. Like there's an opening function. There's like puzzles you can do besides just simply playing on the website if you're trying to improve before the Twitch Rivals event.
Yeah, I was checking that out. It looks like there's a lot more features than I remembered being on here. I don't know if it's new or I just never saw them, but it actually looks pretty robust.
Yeah, I think it depends when you were last on the site, but I would say certainly they've added a lot more. The puzzle function especially, I think is probably in the last year or so that they've really added that, which didn't exist before then. So it's a good way if you're trying to improve your vision to sort of just do those puzzles. Okay, so which piece?
Would bringing the pawn up to protect the pawn be a good move, or would we want to look somewhere else? Is it worth it to protect that pawn?
I'll play the move anyway, but generally speaking, you don't really want to weaken when you have the pawns, the 3 pawns in front of your king. Normally, you want to keep the pawn on F2 and G2 like static. You don't really want to move them, and you just want to push the pawn to H3. Normally, that's the formation you want around your king, because very often when you push the pawn right in front of your king, it tends to weaken the squares around your king, and your king becomes more open. Now, in this case, it's fine, but generally speaking, you don't really want to do this.
Okay, I get you then. So what would have been the better move to play there? Just let him take the pawn and go for like a better position elsewhere on the board?
Actually, the best move here is wait. I mean, it doesn't follow any of the rules, so the best move would have been to actually probably push your pawn on the very edge to H4 so that you could follow it up with G3, removing the knight from the dark square. But that's extremely advanced, and what I probably would have recommended is to just actually to move the queen to E4 just to guard the pawn that way, as opposed to pushing the pawn. But again, that's very, very weird, and that's what makes chess very hard. Is more often than not, it's a game where you learn all the rules, and then to become really good, you learn when to break the rules. What are the exceptions to what you're doing?
Okay, I get what you're saying. So then the knight's protecting that pawn there from the rook, so I move queen.
Okay. But in general, before you get to that point, of course, the main thing you have to do is learn how to learn the rules, and then once you start improving, you start playing better because you understand the basics. That's when you start learning when to break the rules completely and do things that normally don't apply. And that's what separates like the grandmasters and the top players from, say, someone who's like just a master level player, which is 2,200 rating. Because that's already very, very good, but they don't really understand the exceptions when you can break the rules as well.
Okay, so then a lot of players just get locked into playing like a formula instead of like branching out.
Exactly, yeah. Okay.
So is moving that pawn to the B3 or B4, is that like a good move here? Okay.
Well, why do you want to push the pawn? What's the idea?
To get the bishop out.
Right, exactly. And you can't move the knight because then you would lose the pawn that it guards.
Yep.
So yeah, this is yeah, it's more about the reasoning behind the moves. Like, it's not so much about finding the perfect move, but as long as there's a sound reasoning behind the moves that you're playing, that should be the basis, is like trying to come up with a reason for playing the move.
So what would you say is like, I know a lot of these gambits rely on like sacrificing pieces for better positioning. What do you feel about that? Like, do you think it's always like a better idea to stay more defensive or stay aggressive with like exchanging constantly?
Yeah, so one thing that's interesting about chess is since this is Twitch, there are a lot of people who are like, when are there going to be updates to the game of chess? Because obviously the rules of chess have not changed in probably 600 years. Just minor changes, and even the changes back then were very minor. So I think the thing though is that computers, the AIs, they're actually teaching us that a lot of the things that we thought were true are not true. Like, you can actually do things now where you push pawns on the sides of the board in a way that we never really thought was reasonable before. So the general thought process, still most of the rules apply, but because of the AI, we're learning even at the top levels that there are things that are changing constantly.
Have you gotten the chance to play against Deep Blue, I think it's called? I'll add and Bishop for this.
Okay, sure. So Deep Blue, that's a weird story, because basically with Deep Blue, they programmed the machine to play against Garry Kasparov, the world champion, and it played the match, I believe, and it was 90, I think it was 96 and 97 or 97 and 98. There were 2 matches, and it won the second one against Kasparov. Actually, let's be careful here. Can you come up with a move?
I do rook. Would it have been better to move queen? Oh.
It would have been much better, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Wow.
So this is another thing also why you don't want to open up the piece around your king, because, for example, if we reach this position, the pawn was back 2 squares, I think you would have seen the checkmate idea. You would have seen that there was something being attacked, but because the pawn was already advanced, you didn't see the idea behind the queen and the knight.
I didn't see that at all. Yeah, well, I can definitely see why you'd like to at least keep pawns back there now. That didn't even register with me. That shit being wide open. Wow.
Right, right. All right, so you want to play a couple games of Blitz?
Yeah, man, I'm up for it.
Sure. Okay.
I think I've tanked your unrated MMR here enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't actually affect it because it stays the same. But yeah, that's still though. This in general though, you're understanding the basics. I think it's just like realizing how to develop the pieces as a start is very critical because the position that we got in this game was very hard to play because the development moves that weren't natural. And I think when you're relatively new to the game of chess, you want to play moves that make sense, are very, very straightforward and very easy to understand. The ideas are very easy, whereas this game, none of the ideas were easy.
Yeah, it's just I can't recognize any of this shit right now. I definitely just need to probably play more to see things like that. Would be kind of what I'm thinking.
Okay, so let's play.
All right.
Okay. All right, so you're asking about Deep Blue, right? So with Deep Blue, I mean, it was 2 years, and then I think IBM took the computer and they had it doing other tasks, or they dismantled. I don't know exactly what happened, but it wasn't being used for chess after those matches. So I didn't have the chance to play it. Nowadays, with the advancements in technology, the computers don't have to be on some super computer with a ton of hardware. Just a basic chess program on like just a regular laptop is better than any human. So I do training with the computers, but I don't really play against them because I will lose every single game. For example, like my ranking, give or take around 2,750 or 2,800. Is the highest amongst humans, and Magnus Carlsen, the world champion, I think his peak was close to 2,900, but the computers, their rankings are around 3,500. So when you think about that, that's like 600 to 700 points better or higher than the best humans. So there's really no point to playing against them. We just use them to study our games and to try to come up with new strategies.
I imagine that's a pretty helpful tool, though, right? Having like genuinely one of the best possible players play against you constantly with that AI. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, the hardest part though is that, of course, it's AI, so it can't really explain why it's doing the moves that it does. So like we can try to understand the evaluation function when it says this move is really good or that move is better, but in terms of like understanding it, we kind of just have to trust the evaluation function as opposed to say understand. Like there's no way to understand some of the moves fundamentally. Okay. And actually, since someone in my chat is asking, I'll let you make a move. So computer programs play against each other, and one thing that's really weird is, so when humans play, most of our games go anywhere from say 30 moves up to probably like 70 or 80 if we have a very interesting long game. But when computer programs play, they play some of these games that go like 200 moves. So it's like literally they'll play like some opening strategy. The position gets very close. They maneuver their pieces. Then like 30 moves later, they push a pawn. Then another like 30 moves later, they make some exchange of like a knight and a bishop. And computers win these games that are so long and so complex that really for humans, it's one of those things that we can't. I mean, we just can't understand what they're doing.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. It's just when it comes to AI like that, the sky's the limit. Like it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You saw the cheese I was going for, yeah?
It wasn't actually going to work though because my knight guarded the pawn.
Oh fuck! Even my dumb fucking cheeses won't work. What is that one called though? When you do it with the bishop on like
it's called the 4-move checkmate or the scholar's mate.
Scholar's mate. That's what I knew it as. Yeah, that shit was deadly on Spark Chess. I tell you, those children had never seen anything like that.
Yeah, that's one of the basic strategies that I think most kids when they start playing the game, like you should learn that.
Thanks to the resub, Alitario and Big Dope. That's a tough. Oh, you hate to see that. Oh boy, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Oh god, I'm getting blasted. Well, this has gone south really quickly. Shit. I see. Well.
Yeah, this is
it became a disaster in a hurry.
Yeah, basically you missed that the queen was under attack, and yeah, this is really bad.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of recovery I can do from this position, I see.
Yeah, already it was so much less material.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm falling apart, Hikaru. See, this is another great thing about being a grandmaster. It's just that spiritual pressure makes me just crumble.
You know, it's interesting actually at the top levels of chess, like when the super elite players play against each other, psychology actually plays a very big role in our individual matchups, because when you think about it, everyone is basically matched up the same. We all know a lot of the same opening strategies. So psychology actually plays a very big role when the top players are competing, because we're essentially at the same level. All right, let's do one more.
Yeah. Let's not forget, though, I did put you in check once, and that's probably the crowning achievement of my entire check career. That's all I needed.
It's good. Good. I'll make sure you don't get any checks this game.
You can't stop me. I'm an uncaged animal now. I've smelt blood in the water. All I need is one meaningless check.
Well, there are variations of chess where it's like you can play 3 checks. So if you get 3 checks, you win the game. So there are some variations involving checks.
Really? I've never heard of that one. What's that called?
It's called 3 checks.
You know, I guess that makes sense. Fair enough, yeah. That sounds about right.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that. I see it now. I'll take it. I survived.
Yeah, I'm trying to give you a chance.
Thank God. Yeah. It would have been checkmate in one move, right? If you moved it into the H8, or was there?
No, I couldn't actually. What you found was a very good defense. Bringing the knight back was a very good defense against the checkmate idea. You actually stopped the checkmate. Okay. It was very good.
Yeah, see, there's signs of life in here yet.
Okay. So you saw what was happening, right? There's a checkmate coming.
Yeah.
If you block the bishop, I take the bishop, and then I make the checkmate with the bishop and the rook down the board.
Yeah, I did see that. But the craziest thing to me is how you're able to make any of these moves and still have all these moves and still have fucking 2 minutes and 27 seconds left. It feels like time moves so differently when you play chess with like a 3-minute time limit. Like every move feels so labored. It's incredible, man.
So I think I sent you an invite to the board. Do you see it?
Where does that
Should
go?
be at the bottom. You should see just like at the bottom of the right hand side. You should see Hikaru has invited you to. No, you should see it. It's at the bottom with the. You see me down there?
Yeah, I got you. I just joined it.
Okay, yeah. All right. Right. So this just means we can look at the game briefly. All right. So actually, in terms of the moves that I played at the end, you didn't see it, but basically I made pre-moves there. So like the last like 6 moves that I made there were I just had pre-moved it. I was off drinking water while you were thinking.
All right.
So to look at the game briefly, like I was trying to avoid the checks. What you did up to move 6 was very good. So you developed the knights, right? And you developed your bishop. So this is exactly what you want to do at the start of the game. But what I said before was that you want to get your king out of the middle of the board. So you should have castled the king. And let's say I castle here. And do you remember what I said about these 3 pawns in front of your king?
Yeah, to move the like far one just to create that little opening so you don't get the back row checkmate or whatever.
Right. So very specifically, you don't want to push this pawn that's in front of your king. Like you don't want to push it up 1 square or 2 squares. So because of that, like what you did here pushing this pawn creates this big weakness. And also the other thing is when you push this pawn here, normally when you create this formation with the pawns like this, with these 3 pawns, it's kind of like I don't know what you call it, but you create these 3 pawns here like this, you almost always want to fianchetto your bishop. So like a logical, let me just play a couple of random moves so you see the point. What you want if you make this structure is you always want to have a bishop sort of to protect behind here, where the bishop and the pawns just function very well as a unit.
Okay, but that'd be like suboptimal, right? To even have the pawns in that formation wouldn't be
well
good,
at this point it would be like I'll give you another example. So let's say we play this game and you you play it this way. Actually, let me play a more normal move. You can create this formation right out of the gate and put the bishop here right away, and it's completely reasonable. But when you decide to push this pawn in front of your king, you almost always want to keep the bishop on this diagonal here. So when we get to this move 6, now that you've developed the bishop, you never want to push this pawn because your bishop can't go behind it. So in terms of pawn formation, the only time you want to create these pawns on these light squares is if you can put a bishop on that dark square around it.
And a bishop's the only one that'd work in that position there.
Right, and because you've moved the bishop here, you see it's going to take you time to bring it back. And you've already developed the bishop, so you don't want to bring it back. So what you should have done is you should have castled. And then if we castle, again, you don't want to ever push this one. You only want to push this pawn, potentially. You want to keep this sort of structure unless you have a bishop that can go to this dark square. When you get these 3 pawns, almost always look to push the one on the side of the board to create the space for your king long-term down the road.
Okay, I get you. That makes sense then. So really the only time you want to move that pawn there and to create that
you can make moves by the way on the board as well if you want to show me.
So the only time, how do I do that?
Just hit the back arrow, just because now it's black's move, so that's the only thing that matters.
You. So the only time I want to create this is like early when I can put my bishop in there in like 1 move instead of 2.
Exactly, yeah. And also, like I was saying, like in this position, if you look at the bishop, it's very nicely placed. Like it's keeping an eye on this pawn down the diagonal. Also an eye down the other diagonal as well towards this other side of the board. So your bishop is very well placed here, so you don't really want to remove it at this point in the game. So you played g6. So actually the problem is I played e4. And as you'll see, the issue with the pawns here is that now you have no bishop that gets behind to this square. Which means by pushing this pawn in the center, I've now activated my bishop, and I'm going to try to attack on these squares because you have no bishop on the dark square here.
All right. So this is where it really just kind of all went south for me. And then just the recognizing of what moves you're making. I think that's where I'm really falling apart. Because I can't really tell when you're setting something up or when you're like threatening something. You know what I mean? Whether you're going for like a piece or like a longer term play.
Right. So yeah. I mean, I that's what I would say is like normally you don't want to push this pawn because when you push the pawn here without a bishop behind it, it's not very good. So anyway, you castled here, and now I went bishop to g5. And you'll see again, the problem is these dark squares around your king. Now, if for example you had a bishop in front of your king, it would guard this knight very nicely.
Yeah, then
But
it could
because
free up the queen to move around.
right, exactly. So because you don't have that, here you still would have been okay. Do you remember what I told you what this term is called?
Pinning, right?
Pinning, right. So if you move the knight to capture my knight, then I would capture your queen. And of course, the queen is worth 9 points, and bishops and knights are worth 3. So it's a very good trade for me. But you still could have saved this knight if you had moved the bishop back. Because now what happens is you break the pins. So you're threatening to capture the knight. Let's say I just make a move. And you'll notice here, I don't capture your queen. I can only capture your bishop.
Right, okay.
So you break the pin on your queen, but you also guard the knight as well. So if I take, you take, I take, you take, it's an even trade. We've both taken one knight and one bishop here. So this would have been the best move. You play queen here, I took. And now again, this is the other problem. If you look at these pawns here on these light squares.
Yeah, I can't really do anything against your bishop there. Can't
right, the
defend
bishop
anything.
controls all these squares. I'm going to bring my queen in and checkmate the king here. So that's why, again, the structure, when you put this pawn formation like this, unless you have a bishop on the dark square around the pawns, it's always a big problem. So you go here, I went here. You found knight f5, good move. Again, stopping the checkmate with the queen and the bishop. So I played this move. I went here. What is the threat for white in this position?
So it would be on the bishop or the knight, right?
So you know what a fork? I assume you know what a fork is.
Not. I guess not. No.
A fork is when you attack two pieces at the same time. So let's say you push a pawn up here. I move my knight here, and I attack your king. So your king is in check, so you have to move your king. But
and I
you
either
see,
lose the queen. Yeah.
right. So when you move the king, then I capture your queen. So fork is when you attack two pieces at the same time. And actually, I'll give you an example, which is not a check. But like for example, in this position, you have the queen and the rook, but I can still go here, and I attack your queen. I attack your rook. So no matter which one you move, you're going to lose a rook or a queen for a knight, which is good for me.
Okay, I get you. All right then. Yeah.
So you played queen a4. I went check, and now I played h4. And the idea here is I would like to checkmate your king by using my rook and my knight. So let's just say you play some random moves so that you see the pattern. If this occurs on the board, this is actually checkmate because the knight guards the rook and the knight covers the square, so the king can't go anywhere.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
And then yeah, so basically you took the pawn, I took this, and as you'll see, the king is pinned, right? So you can't capture the knight because your king would be in check.
Right. So let me ask you a question. How long does it take for you to recognize that checkmate right there is a possibility? Because it seemed like you set it up pretty quickly, like almost the second I made a move. Because you still had 2:27 on the clock, and you were like casually drinking water and everything.
Yeah. So
on average, how long?
Well, because I've played chess my whole life, I mean, literally in like the 1 to 2 seconds, I see the patterns. Which is why if you watch any of my streams where I've done this puzzle rush, where I do the puzzles, you'll see me do the first 25 or 30 puzzles literally in a split second, because the patterns are just so familiar to me. Because I've done it I've practiced for so many years, and just the repetition of doing the puzzles, you just see the general patterns right away. So I think, what I would say is that. I would say if you do puzzles very consistently for even like 1 month or 2 months, you will see the patterns. Whether you can execute them in the game is a different matter, because like that requires like a real general awareness. But if you do the puzzles, you will start seeing more and more of these patterns, and you will recognize them when you're playing. Like this idea back here. This idea where I try to checkmate you on this square or down the diagonal. This is a very common theme in puzzles, and you will start to recognize it when you do enough of them.
And how many like different counters are there to it? Because I stopped the checkmate with the knight. Was there another way I could have gotten out of that checkmate possibility, or was that just about it?
Actually, let me think. I think that was no. There was actually one other way to avoid it, which was you could move the rook here. So now when I move my queen up to go for the checkmate, you bring the bishop back and you attack the queen, but you cover the square.
Okay.
So this was the other way that you could have stopped it. But in general, yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is like having a basic opening setup, remembering to develop your pieces. So like, as I said, in this game, you got 1, 2, 3 pieces out. So you want to get the king out of the center, and you also want to get the bishop off the original square. If you can get your bishops and knights off their original squares and your king out of the center in the first 12 moves, that is a very good starting point towards just getting into the game.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I get you then.
Great.
All right, all right. I feel like this has really helped open my third eye. I
think if you're relatively new, every little bit of information that you get, it's like there's going to be a wow factor because your brain just you haven't looked at a lot of chess, so it's certainly, I think you'll definitely be thinking about it, and it'll help you it'll help you going forward.
Perfect, man. Well, I really appreciate it. God damn.
Great, no problem. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it too. That was a lot of fun, and yeah, I hope that I'm sure we'll do more training before the Twitch Rivals, but I hope that you learned something, and I'll be helping you as well for that.
Hey man, well I really appreciate it. This was very insightful, and you're a great guy, man. Keep up the great fucking streams. Fucking
thanks.
love them, man.
Appreciate
also,
it. You too as well.
To anyone watching that watches Hikaru and like is impressed, it's fucking nothing compared to actually getting your cheeks spread by this guy. This felt like on a whole nother level. Like watching Hikaru, like I'll see some moves. But then when you play him, it's like, that's not a possibility. You just suffocate. You are nuts at this game, man. Holy shit.
I spent a lot of time on it, so I do appreciate those. So thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, don't be a stranger. Feel free to reach out whenever, and I hope you have a great rest of your stream.
Absolutely, and you too. And yeah, I'll see you for Twitch Rivals.
See you soon, man. Take it easy.
See you. Bye.